backup.
Dr Nigel Greenwood and Team MachineGenes.
Fantastic. Dr. Nigel, what inspired you to join the competition?
Yes, we were working on building the world's first genuinely machine-intelligent artificial pancreas, and we're based in Australia. And so when we were running around saying, we're building completely new forms of machine learning and AI to solve insulin dosing for type 1 diabetes, people would tend to go a bit glassy-eyed at the AI side of things. So what inspired us to then join the competition was here was a forum where the fact we were developing new forms of machine learning and then putting completely new forms of AI on top was something that was actually going to be valued, and people were going to be genuinely interested and talk about it. And so that was extremely valuable to us.
Excellent. In a few sentences, tell us about your solution, and if possible, elaborate how the field of AI is uniquely positioned to solve the challenge you have decided to work on.
Okay. Yeah, so what we're doing is we're building a machine-intelligent artificial pancreas for type 1 diabetes, and more specifically, the worst subset of type 1, what they call very high glycemic variability. So the blood glucose is just a roller coaster. And so the type 1 diabetes, all the insulin producing cells have died. You're needing to provide insulin to regulate blood glucose. And with these so-called brittle type 1 diabetics, the dosing problem is essentially impossible. AI is uniquely positioned to solve this problem because this is not a problem, well, basically not a problem soluble any other way. However, existing forms of AI were not much use. So we had to go back to the drawing board and come up with completely new forms of machine learning. The reason why existing forms of AI were not much use is that with conventional AI, you have training data being required. You need good data for a neural network to learn from before it can then come up with strategies. Now, for someone with brittle type 1, there is no good data. Their medical history is a history of therapeutic failure. And so we then had to come up with a new form of machine learning that would dig deeper and say, don't care that the actual strategies have failed in the past, let's look at what's happening underneath. And so we literally evolve the structure of insulin glucose dynamics for that individual. And then we pass that to bickering AI, adversarial AI. And the first AI's job is to design insulin strategies from this information. Second AI's job is to really put that through its paces and try and wreck it and show all the possible adverse events that can come from that strategy. And then the first AI's job is then to fix that. And so you have this ongoing conflict that leads to synthesis, and a strong, robust, safe insulin strategy comes out that no human endocrinologist could match. So yeah, AI is key for this, but it will be a very different form of AI than what people are used to seeing when they hear artificial intelligence.
How does the AI XPRIZE help move us towards a positive AI future?
Yeah, I think the most important way it does that, well, it does that in a couple of ways. First of all, it sits down and says, using AI for good rather than AI for commercial benefit. One of the most demoralizing things any research scientist can do is come up with this fabulous application of AI and then pitch to VC. And then venture capital, of course, says, well, that's no use at all. How do we monetize it? So the good thing, first of all, that the AI XPRIZE and AI for Good do is reframe the questions in terms of how, first of all, are you extracting benefit? And that also has meaning from a venture capital viewpoint in that benefit ultimately is worth something. Benefit, almost by definition, has value for the human condition. So the XPRIZE is redefining AI research and AI endeavors on more of a strategic basis rather than the very tactical basis of monetizing stuff now. On the second front, AI, I think, is in danger of becoming very pigeonholed. I was working in what we now call AI in the 1990s, and machine learning was a very, very diverse field then. And so now it's deeply frustrating that currently machine learning and artificial neural networks are essentially regarded as synonyms. And so if it's another valuable thing that can be done is to break open the pigeonholes and say, no, in fact, there's a lot more out there than what we currently are seeing in the media as machine learning and artificial intelligence.
How can we make AI more inclusive?
That's an interesting question. I think personally, inclusivity with AI is not about gender or race. Inclusivity is about people who think differently. And indeed, one of the big problems with AI at the moment is this monoculture that I was alluding to in the past, whereby you have this cycle of huge amounts of money being invested in specific forms of machine learning, and then that becomes a self-perpetuating cycle. And so everything starts to stagnate, because people then say machine learning equals this particular solution, therefore the problems of this solution are the problems of machine learning. So how can we make AI more inclusive? Diversify the field, and again, that's something that AI for Good and the AI XPRIZE can do very well, in that if you widen up the problem base and you widen up the acceptable solutions, you're encouraging people to break out of the pigeonholes. And I think when you diversify conceptually, maybe I'm being optimistic, but I think diversification in other respects, ethnically, gender, etc., then follow. Because when you have a wider palette of colours to choose from, in terms of ideas of forms of solution, then different people from different backgrounds will naturally come to shine better in terms of offering the best they can do in particular solutions that may not now be contemplated when we talk about machine learning.
Well said. Thank you, Nigel.